Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. This channel is home of at least one college football video every single day. And if you're like me, you love polls, but you also hate polls because they don't make any sense and they don't really matter, but they do matter. It's confusing, really. So first, let's take a look at last week's AP poll and last week's playoff rankings. Then we'll look at the new AP poll and see where teams landed this week. First up, last week's AP poll. 1 Georgia, 2 Cincinnati, 3 Alabama, 4 Oklahoma, 5 Oregon, 6 Ohio State, 7 Notre Dame, 8 Michigan State, 9 Michigan, 10 Oklahoma State, 11 Texas A&M, 12 Ole Miss, 13 Wake Forest, 14 BYU, 15 UTSA, 16 Auburn, 17 Houston, 18 Baylor, 19 Iowa, 20 Wisconsin, 21 NC State, 22 Coastal Carolina, 23 Penn State, 24 Louisiana, 25 Pitt. Now let's take a look at last week's playoff rankings. Number 1 Georgia, 2 Alabama, 3 Oregon, 4 Ohio State, 5 Cincinnati, 6 Michigan, 7 Michigan State, 8 Oklahoma, 9 Notre Dame, 10 Oklahoma State, 11 Texas A&M, 12 Wake Forest, 13 Baylor, 14 BYU, 15 Ole Miss, 16 NC State, 17 Auburn, 18 Wisconsin, 19 Purdue, 20 Iowa, 21 Pitt, 22 San Diego State, 23 UTSA, 24 Utah, 25 Arkansas. You see how different they are? Only 4 teams are ranked the same, and that's number 1 Georgia, number 10 Oklahoma State, number 11 Texas A&M, and number 14 BYU. Which one of these polls was correct last week? Well, the real answer is probably neither. So now let's look at this week's AP poll and see where the teams landed. Number 1 stays the same, Georgia, 10-0. Number 2, Alabama, they rose 1 spot, 9-1. Number 3, Cincinnati, fell 1 spot, 10-0. Number 4, Oregon, rose 1 spot, 9-1. Number 5, Ohio State, rose 1 spot, 9-1. Number 6, Notre Dame, 9-1, rose 1 spot. Number 7, Michigan State, rose 1 spot, 9-1. Number 8, Michigan, rose 1 spot, 9-1. Number 9, Oklahoma State, rose 1 spot, 9-1. Number 10, Ole Miss, rose 2 spots, 8-2. Number 11, Baylor, rose 7 spots, 8-2. Number 12, Oklahoma, fell 8 spots, 9-1. Number 13 stays the same, Wake Forest, 9-1. Number 14 stays the same, BYU, 8-2. Number 15 stays the same, UTSA, 10-0. Number 16, Texas A&M, fell 5 spots, 7-3. Number 17 stays the same, Houston, 9-1. Number 18, Iowa, rose 1 spot, 8-2. Number 19, Wisconsin, rose 1 spot, 7-3. Number 20, Pitt, rose 5 spots, 8-2. Number 21, Arkansas, wasn't ranked last week, 7-3. Number 22, Louisiana, 9-1, rose 2 spots. Number 23, San Diego State, wasn't ranked last week, 9-1. Number 24, Utah, wasn't ranked last week, 7-3. And number 25, NC State, fell 4 spots, 7-3. So here's the results for the teams that were ranked last week in the playoff rankings. Number 1, Georgia, they beat Tennessee 41-17 on the road. They're smoking people left and right. Number 2, Alabama, they beat New Mexico State, a cupcake team, 59-3 at home. I don't see how that moves the needle. Number 3, Oregon, beat Washington State 34-28 at home. That's actually a decent win. Number 4, Ohio State, beat number 19 Purdue 59-31 at home. Decent win, but I think Purdue was overranked. But the committee wants Ohio State in the playoffs really, really bad. That's why they ranked Purdue as high as they did. Number 5, Cincinnati. They beat South Florida 45-28 on the road. Hey, at least they beat somebody by more than a touchdown. Number 6, Michigan. They beat Penn State on the road 21-17. That's a decent win. That was a tough road win. Number 7, Michigan State. They beat Maryland 40-21 at home. Michigan State not impressing me right now. Number 8, Oklahoma. Lost to number 13 Baylor 27-14 on the road, and they looked horrific. Number 9, Notre Dame. They beat Virginia 28-3 on the road. Notre Dame's looking really good right now. Number 10, Oklahoma State beat TCU 63-17 at home. Remember, last week, TCU actually beat Baylor. That's impressive for Oklahoma State to beat them that bad. Number 11, Texas A&M. They lost to number 15 Ole Miss on the road 29-19. Doesn't surprise me because it seems like the home team for an SEC West matchup is going to win. Number 12, Wake Forest. They beat number 16 NC State 45-42 at home. That's a good win for the Demon Deacons. Number 13, Baylor embarrasses number 8 Oklahoma 27-14 at home. Number 14, BYU was on a bye week. Number 15, Ole Miss beat number 11 Texas A&M 29-19. Their offense was stifled a little bit though, so that's a testament to Texas A&M's defense. Number 16, NC State lost to number 12 Wake Forest on the road 45-42. I still think it was a good showing for the Wolfpack. Number 17, Auburn. They lost to Mississippi State at home 43-34. That broke the trend of the home team winning in an SEC West matchup. It surprised me. Number 18, Wisconsin beat Northwestern 35-7 at home. Wisconsin's getting hot right now. Number 19, Purdue lost to number 4 Ohio State 59-31. Ohio State made them look bad. Number 20, Iowa. They beat Minnesota 27-22 at home. Much needed win for Iowa. A pretty good win too. Number 21, Pitt. They beat North Carolina 30-23 in overtime at home. Hey, a win's a win, right? Number 22, San Diego State. They beat Nevada 23-21 at home. That's a good win. Nevada's a good team in the Mountain West. Number 23, UTSA. They beat Southern Miss 27-17 at home. That's not really impressive. Number 24, Utah. They actually struggled with Arizona, but they did get the win 38-29 on the road. And number 25, Arkansas. They beat LSU 16-13 on the road in overtime. A win on the road in the SEC West is a very good thing right now. So even though it was only about 3 points in overtime, that's a good win for Arkansas. This week, I'm moving my live show from Wednesday to Tuesday. Start time will be 7 p.m. And this week, I'm going to have a guest. Brad Smith, the voice of Motown, is coming on Golden Blue Dude to talk about West Virginia football. And there's some things that we disagree on, so you're not going to want to miss that. So I'll be talking to Brad Smith, the voice of Motown, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then immediately after that, we will have our drawing for the Super Chat contest winner. The grand prize is a full-size helmet valued over $300 and a $50 prize from TriStateWhisketch.com, sponsored by Jeff Grimm, one of my best supporters of Golden Blue Dude. And it will be your last chance to get an entry in for that prize. Every $5 you donate through Super Chat or PayPal equals one entry to win a full-size helmet of your choice and the $50 prize from TriStateWhisketch.com, sponsored by Jeff Grimm. So come check out my live show on Tuesday at 7 p.m. It's going to be one of my best live shows. So now it's time for my rankings for this week. We'll see what the new playoff rankings look tomorrow night. And I will say this, the difference between my polls and their polls, besides positioning, is I'll actually explain why I have teams ranked where they're ranked. In the other polls, you're completely guessing. You have no idea because they're not consistent and they contradict each other all the time. In my poll, you'll know exactly why I rank teams where I rank them. First, I have number 1, Georgia. Of course, I do agree with that. 10-0, and they're blowing everybody out. Number 2, I'm sticking with Cincinnati. They're undefeated 10-0. They beat a top 10 Notre Dame on the road by double digits. They did struggle against lesser opponents the past few weeks, but at least they beat South Florida soundly on the road this week. Number 3, Ohio State, 9-1. Their only loss is to Oregon. That's not a bad loss. Good wins at Minnesota, Penn State, Purdue, and they're looking better and better. Ohio State is looking the strongest they've looked all year right now. Number 4, Alabama, 9-1. Their only loss to Texas A&M. That's not a bad loss. Good wins, Ole Miss at Mississippi State. But they have looked bad at times. That's why I have Ohio State ranked ahead of Alabama. Number 5, Michigan. They're 9-1. Their only loss to Michigan State. That's not a bad loss. Good wins at Wisconsin and at Penn State, and they're finishing strong. Right off the bat, I know what you're saying. What about head-to-head, Golden Blue Dude? Does that not matter? It does matter. But what matters more is body of work. Head-to-head goes into that body of work, but you don't rank somebody ahead of somebody else just based on the head-to-head. You have to look at total body of work, and that's what I'm doing. Number 6, Oklahoma State. They're impressing me. They're 9-1. They're only lost to Iowa State. That's not a terrible loss, but it's not good either. They have good wins against Kansas State and Baylor, and Oklahoma State is looking really good right now. They are burying their opponents. Number 7, Notre Dame. 9-1. Only lost to Cincinnati. That's not a bad loss at all. Good wins. Purdue, at Wisconsin, at Virginia. Kind of the same situation as Oklahoma State right now. Looking pretty good. Number 8, Michigan State, 9-1. Their only loss to Purdue. That's not a terrible loss, but they only have one good win, and that's against Michigan. That's why I don't have Michigan State ranked ahead of Michigan. Michigan has better wins, and they're looking better. I only use head-to-head as a tiebreaker, and I don't have Michigan and Michigan State at a tie. Number 9, Oregon, 9-1. Their only loss was to a very bad Stanford, and that's why I have them ranked so low. Good wins at Ohio State. That's a great win, but it was at the beginning of the season. Other good win at UCLA maybe, and right now Oregon is just surviving. So overall body of work, that's why I have Oregon at number 9. Number 10, Wake Forest, 9-1. Only lost to North Carolina. That's a mid-range loss. Not terrible, but not great. Good wins at Virginia and NC State. Wake Forest is erasing doubts right now. Number 11, this is where I have Oklahoma now. 9-1. Their only loss to Baylor. That's not a bad loss, but they looked bad, and they only have one good win at Kansas State. That's why they're not my top 10. Number 12, Ole Miss, 8-2. They're 2 losses at Alabama and at Auburn. Those are not bad losses at all. Both good teams and both on the road. Good wins, Arkansas and Texas A&M. That's why I have Ole Miss, the highest ranked 2-loss team. Number 13, Baylor, 8-2. 2 losses at Oklahoma State, at TCU. That's a bad loss. They do have good wins against BYU and Oklahoma. Number 14, BYU. They're 8-2. Their 2 losses, a loss against Boise State at home. That's a bad loss. And at Baylor. That's not a bad loss. Good wins. Utah, Arizona State, and Virginia. Number 15, Iowa, 8-2. 2 losses. Purdue and at Wisconsin. Those aren't bad losses. Good wins. Penn State, Minnesota. That's why I have them ranked lower. Their good wins aren't great. They're good, but not great. Number 16, Pitt, 8-2. Look, I hate Pitt. I'm a West Virginia fan, but I put that aside whenever I'm ranking them. Their 2 losses. One to Western Michigan. That's a bad loss. The other loss to the Hurricanes. That's also a bad loss. They only have one good win, and that's against Clemson. That's why I have them as the lowest ranked 2-loss FBS team. Number 17, Texas A&M, 7-3. My highest ranked 3-loss FBS team. 3 losses at Arkansas, Mississippi State, at Ole Miss. None of those are terrible losses. They have 2 really good wins, Alabama and Auburn. That's why they're the highest ranked 3-loss team for me. Number 18, Wisconsin, 7-3. Their 3 losses, Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan. Those aren't terrible. Good wins at Purdue and Iowa. Pretty good wins. Number 19, UTSA. They're 10-0, undefeated. They really don't have any good wins, and they've looked shaky against Illinois, Middle Tennessee, Memphis, UNLV, and Southern Miss. So a lot of shaky wins. They are undefeated, so I did reward them by putting them in the top 20, but they're looking shaky. Number 20, Louisiana. People have forgot about the Raging Cajuns. They are 9-1. Their only loss at Texas at the beginning of the season. Since then, a 9-game winning streak. Problem is, they only have one good win, and that's Appalachian State. Number 21, San Diego State. They're 9-1. Their only loss was to Fresno State, which Fresno State has fallen off a bit, and they do have good wins against Utah and Nevada. Number 22, NC State. They are 7-3 with their 3 losses at Mississippi State, at the Miami Hurricanes, and at Wake Forest. So really only one bad loss. And they have 2 decent wins, Clemson and at Boston College. Number 23, Arkansas. They're 7-3. They went on a 3-game losing streak, but they're starting to get their feet underneath them again. Their 3 losses at Georgia, at Ole Miss, and Auburn, and they were back to back to back. Good wins, Texas A&M and Mississippi State. Those are some decent wins. Number 24, Utah. They're 7-3. Their 3 losses at BYU, at San Diego State, and at Oregon State. Oregon State's not a terrible team, but Utah should have beat them. And they really only have one good win, and that's Arizona State. That's why I have them ranked lower as a 3-loss team. Number 25, Appalachian State. I think they deserve to be ranked. They're 8-2. Their 2 losses at Miami, the Hurricanes, which they actually should have won that game, and at Louisiana. That's not a bad loss. And they have one pretty good win, and that's Coastal Carolina. So there you go. Which poll do you prefer? The AP poll, the playoff rankings, or my poll? Or no polls. You just don't care. Either way, let me know in the comments section. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.